YouTube, something incredible is going to happen today. This beautiful, gorgeous Horizon Hobby Cessna Citation Longitude UMX is going to get some flaps. It's going to grow them right on there. Come along for the ride. Oops, forgot to start the camera. Flaps. I love putting flaps on these things, but I'm going to tell you guys about this. There was one major compromise. Okay, I didn't give up safe. Okay, so right now this is not safe. This is safe. You'll notice that the flaps pop down. Now I don't have any throttle, so hold on.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so here's safe. So it's still working, but look what happens. You see what's happening, camera crew? You're like, what the heck is happening?
Oh.
That's when you're in safe. Now the reason that happens is because basically when you're out of safe, you don't have that problem, okay? Notice it's not finding the fastest route to level. The flaps work. Okay, at full deflection and at regular flying mode, they're fine. But in takeoff mode, they respond like something else on this plane.
I know.
What is it, camera crew?
Because they're the rudder servo.
That's right. You'll notice the rudder's not moving. The rudder is now taped, and you're thinking, are you kidding me, Brian? And I'm like, yeah, seriously. Also, the nose gear is taped. Someday, I'm gonna add that feature back in, but for now, I had to see how this thing worked on flaps, or worked with flaps. So what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna show you what I did to make this work. I've got a 2-second deployment speed on those. I had to use a mix, guys. Watch this, guys. See, this is fast acting. Okay, now the reason being is because throttle cut's on, by the way. If you go into your menu, you're having to use the rudder for that. So basically the way I set that up was if you go to Servo Setup, first of all, I think I had to switch the reverse the rudder at one point, but I ended up reversing it back. You set the speed to 2, and then you go into mixing. I wanted mine to operate on the B switch. So I tied B to rudder at a rate of 100% and 100%. So if I want to change how far they deploy, I can either change the servo setup to indicate the maximum throw up or down, or I can change it here. The second mix I did was rudder to rudder at -100. So that stops this from having an impact on the rudder surface, which you're probably thinking to yourself, obviously you don't want the flaps to move when you move the rudder because the rudder channel is what's being consumed to drive that. Why don't you just turn it off and the channel inhibit? Well, you can't do that because then that channel is not accessible in the mixes, okay? So you can't just shut it off in the channel setup. The camera crew was letting me know that earlier. So anyway, then there's 2 more mixes. This is the first mix. I'm mixing B to elevator. You can't mix rudder to elevator for some stupid reason. Because it just basically, then it just, I don't know, it's weird. It works with the stick position, which is goofy. I think you could probably go into the channel assign the second page and you could change the tie from this to B and then you could do it, but whatever, this worked better. I just tied B to elevator with no offset, and then I made the switch. This switch, when it's in the top setting, it actuates it to -10% of the B setting, okay? So the problem is with the middle setting, there's no change, so you can't tie anything to it because there's no change. This is the neutral, this is 0. This is -100, this is +100. So 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 100 is 0. Then what you do to get that middle intermediate setting is you do the same thing again, except you show a 100% offset on B, okay? And you'll notice that I tied that to 1 and 2. So position 0, nothing happens. Position 1, those 2 mixes both operate. Of course, nothing happens on the first one. Then on the second one, you get a little bit more for this. So watch what happens to the elevator. So it moves up the tip and then up a little bit more. As the flaps deploy, the shape of the wing changes. So the nose is going to want to, it's going to want to climb a little bit. Okay, with an inboard flap, you're going to get that response. If you have an outboard flapper on, then you're going to actually dive, which is kind of weird. So with the standard inboard flap, the typical elevator correction is to move like this to push the nose down, because the plane is going to want to balloon and you want to respond to that by making it level out. That's going to allow you to slow the plane down a little bit too, which is kind of nice. You don't have to have an elevator correction, but I wanted an elevator correction. So that's the way I did that. Now the reason that I didn't just go into system setup and go to aircraft type and change wing type to this is because when you do that, it causes a systemic issue with safe, okay? The safe channel is operated on the gear channel. There is a second channel involved that causes some sort of interference. I've learned it from experience because I tried to do that when I was trying to figure out how to add flaps to this earlier. And when I would deploy the flaps that weren't hooked up to anything, it would prevent me from shutting off safe. So as you can see, even with the actuation of the flap, okay, there's the flap actuation. We haven't given it throttle. I'm gonna give throttle, otherwise I'm cheating. Okay, so there's throttle. So now AS3X is activated, but this isn't trying to roll the aircraft. Now when safe is on, it's trying to roll the aircraft. Okay? Safe is off. The biggest compromise here is that I had to give up the rudder. I don't really care about the rudder in flight that much. I do like to be able to slip the plane and do things like that. But if I'm gonna give up a channel of control, that's the channel of control I wanna give up. The biggest issue with that is that you don't have the ground control when you're landing. So you're gonna have to basically land it straight, which is fine. Because there's a lot of bank and yank planes, but typically they still have a steerable nose gear. So I think that in my condition, because I love flaps and I'm obsessed with them, this is gonna be the best option. So without further ado, let's give you a look at what I did. Now, I did not make any covers yet. I don't really care. I kind of want to see how well this flies before I invest too much more time. I basically mounted them at a slight angle, and you'll notice that I was using aileron servos. You can get aileron servos, or you can get just regular long throw servos. These ones were actuating opposite directions. I believe these servos are programmable. I just don't have any mechanism by which to program them. So you can get them to operate either direction if you order them from the site. I just was using them off of crash planes, okay? These are Aileron Servos too. You'll notice that the gears are both pointing forward. My gears are pointed forward and backward. So that's just luck of the draw. If I would have got two that operated the same direction, it would have been no big deal. Keep in mind, you have to raise up your linkages to miss that gear set if you happen to mount them backward. So try to avoid that if you can. Secondly, I had to, of course, dismount. This is just the E-flite pack. I usually fly on the Onyx. It's a lot better, but I use this when I'm doing testing and stuff because it just runs forever still. Obviously, I took that servo out, and I could have used that servo, but I just happened to have two of them out of another plane, and they had longer leads. So I have it plugged into the same spot where it was before, okay, because it's still run by the rudder. Those other channels, the other ports don't do anything, okay? They're deactivated on the board. So until such a time as we're able to program those, which I don't believe we have access to program them at this point, we're gonna be stuck. So the way I keep the nose gear straight is I literally just put a piece of masking tape. I use masking tape rather than something a little bit more sturdy, just for the simple fact that I can adjust that easily. I can just point it. So when I'm taxiing, if it taxis kind of off, I can just go adjust it quick and be done with it. Keep in mind, this thing is going to jump into the air so fast because it's already powerful on 3S, but then you throw in flaps and it's going to basically be a STOL plane. And you may have noticed there's quite a little bit of deflection there. That's a lot. I'm kind of hoping that they don't drag on the ground as I'm trying to take off. I kind of planned it out so that they would miss. But you can see just how tight that is. If I have a tail strike, I'm just about going to hit the flaps. See that?
It clears though.
Can you see all the way down with that shot?
Yeah.
Why don't you see if you can like lay it on the...
I'll have to pick back up then.
But you see, I'm tail striking now. So I can always back off that setting too. The other thing I'll do is if the elevator correction becomes unnecessary, some planes balloon like crazy when you deploy flaps. Other planes don't. I have a sneaky suspicion this thing is gonna balloon like crazy. So I'm probably gonna have to adjust in a little bit more elevator correction. And that's okay. All I gotta do is go into those two menu settings and I can change that. Let's show you how that works again, because I don't feel like I gave it a good shake. Okay, so under mixing, obviously there's no flaps, so you can't just set it. Well, what the heck? This doesn't do anything though, guys. Why is that still in there? This isn't changing anything though. See, I just set that to 8 seconds. See, this doesn't have any impact on anything. The reason this is here and it wouldn't normally be there is because I turned the mode on and then I turned it back off on the model. So forgive me for that, guys. Yours is gonna say inhibit right away. So you have to do it through mixing. Otherwise, like I said, you're gonna make that AS3X/safe issue. Okay, so this one, that's actually the top setting. So if I change this to like -25, watch how much this changes, okay? Not much, not much. But then it changes a bunch, okay? So this is a cumulative setting that's also part of mix 4, okay? So then if I want the first setting to be more, I do this more. So let's do that to 25 as well, okay? So now watch. See, it's a big change and then an even bigger change. Now I'm gonna change this one down. See how it's lowering down, guys? So I'm at 10 on the second one, and I'm at 25 on the first, but I'm gonna put that back to 10 as well. So basically it's just adding them together. So you get the first setting, and then you build on top of it, you get the second setting. Now that doesn't have any impact on the elevator, the absolute position of your stick. So it's just like what it does in flat mixing. The only difference is you don't have the 2-second deployment on that. And you do not want to put a delay on your elevator because this thing is going to fly really weird if you do that. Technically, you could probably put a couple of tenths of a second delay and it would still fly, but it would be very weird. The delay on the flaps, it's such an extreme deployment, I don't know that it's going to be a big difference. Anyway, that's what you get, guys. You can see I used also just some wood horns here because I wanted to have a lot of leverage. I've had problems in the past when I do these big control surfaces of making enough leverage. I had those around, so I used them. And then the hinge material, I just kept it simple. I started this project by walking up to my X-Acto knife and started cutting. I didn't do all the electronics first. I knew I could use the channel. I knew I was gonna make it work, and I knew it was gonna be cool, but I don't know if I'm gonna regret losing the rudder channel. So that's the big question of the day. And then also you'll notice I left a loop. So I have fine-tuned adjustments for mechanical adjustments so that I can bounce these out, because obviously they're on the same channel, so there's not gonna be any adjustability. So without any further ado, we're gonna fly this, except that we're having hurricane force winds, if I recall. So we probably won't be able to fly now, which is a bummer. Oh, and then the other thing is, I went ahead and added some extra hot glue drips to the LEDs. I did some CA the other day. Now I've just got hot glue drips so that I can get this raised up just a little bit more and distribute that light, diffuse it a little bit more. Sometimes the CA works good and sometimes the CA needs just a little bit more height. And these ones are recessed in there, so the extra height should help. I'm a little bit fearful they'll pop off of there with some vibration and stuff though. Other than that, this project was actually relatively simple. It went relatively well, but I am a little bit concerned about how much of an impact the rudder is going to have on it. So we will wait and see how that works out, and you guys will be seeing it here right now. Flaps. Okay, so we're gonna see how this goes, guys. We gotta kind of line this thing up because ground handling is gonna be not so hot. But my guess is we're gonna have a really, really easy shot. Look at the windsock. That's courtesy of one of my longtime subscribers, and Grumpy John, thank you. He is very grumpy. We're flying on the Onyx 800 milliamp 3S 30C packs. These things are really good. Nice silicone leads, unlike the E-flite ones, and they're cheaper, I think. Okay, takeoff flaps are deployed. Throttle cuts off. We are out of safe. Remember, safe screws it up or makes it weird. Control surface test. Look at the rudder not working. It's all part of the show. Feels like we're in safe there. That's not good. I'm gonna just have to make a wide turn here. Oh, that looks gorgeous. Look at that thing. Yeah, that's obviously in safe. Okay, so there's takeoff. There's landing flaps. Out of the takeoff flaps. Just gonna have to really play it safe for now. Oh, that is gorgeous. Okay. Trying to get it to come out of safe here, guys. Pull landing flaps just to see what happens. Oh, that thing is so slow. Look at that. Okay, out of the flaps. We're going to try for a landing here. No rudder, of course. You want to come on up a little bit?
Okay.
Stay about 3 steps back. Full landing flaps deployed. Thing is creeping in. Oh, that is so awesome. All right, guys, we'll come right back. Okay, guys, so I noticed something about this the other day when I was working on it. When I try to switch, no matter which mode I'm in, it doesn't change out of safe mode. So what I learned was, for whatever reason, I have to basically unplug this, power off the radio system, plug it in, and I'll figure out what it is, but this is my stopgap measure. Okay? So I'm going into bind mode. You'll notice I'm back just like we were the other day. Now I'm going to come back a ways, and I'm going to bind. I'm out of safe mode here. DSMX 22 milliseconds telemetry. Okay, throttle cuts on. So now, flaps, flaps. Good. Safe on, safe off. Okay, safe on, safe off. Throttle cuts off. Okay. See, it doesn't like to shut off safe now, so I'm not sure what the heck is the deal with that. Which is a real bummer because I kind of need safe off to fly this thing the way I want to fly it. But let's just go ahead and see how it flies real quick because it flies really slow with the flaps deployed. No rudder. I want it so bad right now, the rudder. Full landing flaps, guys. Oh, not only does that look gorgeous, the 3S, even with the full 3S power. Oh man, look at it. Just looks like it's barely moving. I love it. Guys, this is so much what I wanted before. Look how slow it's flying. You got to get on it to make your turn and safe like this. Okay, I'm going to come by. Okay, we're going to be in takeoff flaps here, if I can make the turn. Takeoff flaps. Okay, watch this, camera crew. Now you're going to notice that it is very calm right now. If I were getting hit with the wind, this thing would be yawing and bouncing all over because the flaps are the rudder. Check this out. Takeoff flaps deployed. Oh, that looks so good. Okay, out of the takeoff flaps. A little bit extra speed needed, obviously. You want to come up to the runway there, camera crew? Steep approach here. Look at this. Look at this, guys. No throttle. Whoa, that was a horrible landing. Okay, takeoff flaps are retracted. Now, one thing that could be happening there too is just the simple fact that my landing gear could be getting bumped on impact. So we're gonna try this again. We're gonna take off. There's just very, 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 very faint wind that's coming this direction. So being as we don't have steerable nose gear or rudder right now, we kind of have to just point it and go. So there's full takeoff flaps, or excuse me, landing flaps. Oh man, that gets off the ground quick. Oh, so good. Guys, I'm loving the speed. Loving it. Okay, go up there. Further, further, further. Coming behind you. Guys, I so badly want to be out of safe. Let's try getting out of safe here. Neutral. Oh, we're out of safe. We're out of safe now, guys, I think. Actually, nope, we got limited bank angles still. But guys, even with safe, you can slow it down now, which means you can make your sharper turn. Got to use your elevator and your throttle though. Don't be afraid to use the stick all the way. You could not do that before.
No.
Okay, into neutral flaps. Trying to come out of safe. Nope, limited bank angles still. Still limited bank angles. Full landing deployment. Coming around the house. Right at the camera crew. Okay, we're gonna go back to the pink sky, hon. Let's go to the end of the runway. We're gonna just do a high circuit up here. Right in the tracks here, please. Tracks. There you go. Good job. We're just gonna see it up against the sky. We're gonna bring it in for an extremely slow approach. Okay, out of the flaps altogether. Got to really get into the speed. And that thing disappears back there, doesn't it? I can see it okay, but
On
I'm
camera,
riding
it's
the
gonna-
elevator something fierce too. There we go. Now it's kind of level. Full landing flaps. Man, that thing looks so gorgeous. Okay, let's go ahead and switch sides of the runway. Off the runway, please. Good job, good job. Guys, it's so forgiving now. So forgiving. But I just need to do a mechanical trim adjustment on the elevator here, so I'm not riding the elevator quite so hard. There, I'm out of the flaps. Coming behind you. You stay where you are. Full landing flaps here. See if we can do a landing. Oh yeah, baby. All right, we're
That's
gonna
pretty
pick it
good.
up. Good?
Yep.
Okay guys, mechanical trim adjustment on this plane is pretty easy. I would never trim a plane in safe, but I kind of have to on this one. We got to get needle nose. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm at minus 100% on the elevator deflection. So just look at it neutrally. I'm going to set it back to neutral, so you can kind of see where it needs to go. You just kind of look at where it was, and then you just come in here and you squeeze this thing a little bit. That's going to pull it down some. You got to overdo it just a little bit and it'll bounce back some. Okay. You can straighten those. Is the best way to do it is to kind of have two pairs of pliers actually. But I don't think I have two pairs of pliers right here right now. And we're going to lose sunlight, so I got to be a little bit aggressive about the way I'm doing this. Okay, that should make a good mechanical trim. Okay. So throttle cut's still on. Obviously we have plenty of flight time because we've already tested these Onyx to fly up to 15 minutes. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Okay, remember this is sort of a proof of concept, guys, to see if this thing needs the flaps or if it helps, and it really does so far. Throttle cuts off. Takeoff flaps, here we go. Oh, yes! I have elevator now. That's so much nicer. Ian, eat your heart out. You don't even need an elevator. I don't even think Ian's, like, around anymore. Isn't that his name? The guy who sold me the ASW, or the ASH 26, which is a gorgeous plane, by the way. Oh, that looks so good coming out. Ooh, man, look at, I can still get the flare pumped in a little bit. Let's go out 20 steps. Guys, surprisingly, I need just even a little bit more. Hey, more. Okay. That looks so good. Here's a full speed, just glide here. That's as slow as she would possibly go. That's on the bottom side. What are you doing? Okay, here we go. Coming up to the, hey. Good right there. Oh, that looks so gorgeous. Guys, I gotta say, flying in safe drives me crazy, but at the same time, it still flies pretty stinking good. So much better than any of the other competitive brands, guys. I gotta be honest, Horizon Safe has gotta be the best auto leveling that exists. That's why it's the one you want to learn on, even if it is a few bucks more. And let's be honest, guys, it really isn't that much more. Probably 20, 30 bucks difference for the plane you want. And when you get into the more expensive ones, you're already past the need and safe. All right, check this out. Coming in by the house. Oh, it's so dead cool. Oh, I needed a rudder so bad in that pass. Hey, hold steady, please. I'll move around you if I can. Okay. We'll go inside this time. I want to see if we can get it to flare. I want to try high alpha. So we're out of the flaps altogether. Just go up over that transformer. We're gonna come in here, see if we can get a high alpha. Pretend like we're doing a landing. Actually, we'll just try for a landing. Here we go, full landing flaps. Guys, you can just land whenever you want now. Look at this, so much slower. Save the flare for the end. Oh, okay. We did good. Obviously, that was not a good landing. I don't know if the ground effect just screws with us or if I'm just messing up, but I'm just gonna take right back off like nothing happened. Oh, I forgot to fix the nose gear. Dang it. There's our warning. Landing flaps. Here we go. I would use my rudder, but I don't have one. Oh. Guys, that is so cool with the flaps. Now, immediate thoughts. Okay, so if you're a guy like me and you just can't live without flaps, I'm surprised I'm even gonna say this, but the thing flies so good stock. You don't need flaps. I hate saying that because, you know, you don't need a radio-controlled airplane, except you kind of do. This thing is so gorgeous. And I want to fly it so much more, but we're going to lose our light. So we're going to try to squeeze in one more battery.
Okay, so this is the pack that Brian just got done with on the Spectrum Smart Checker. See if I can get it to focus. And so we're at 15%. And that was well over the timer for flight time.
Yeah, but we had stopped to fix my linkages popped out on my flaps because I had a screw up on that. I got to make a better, more permanent solution, but guys, this is still a proof of concept.
But you were at 3.7, and it's really balanced, which is super nice.
Yeah.
So
it is very, very nice, guys. Those Onyx packs have turned out to be super great.
This is the Onyx pack.
And by the way, I'm riding it back just a little bit further this time. See? Right there. Now watch this, guys.
Okay. Yep.
See, I'm back just a hair further. See that blue light? That's safe. That's not safe. Or that's safe. This is not safe. But what's going to happen, as soon as I give this thing throttle, it's going to decide to stay on all the time, which I'm trying to figure out. Oops. Throttle cut. Okay, so safe is on. See how it's blue? Now it's off. Okay. I turned my flap mode back on, so I don't know why, but I don't care. I just want to fly it out of safe because this plane's out of safe to do the things I want to do with it. Okay, takeoff flaps. Here we go. Oh, yes. Full elevator authority. Oh, yes. So much easier to control. I can do what I want. I can screw it up if I want. Come on, let's walk out there. I'm still mentally using the rudder. The rudder doesn't exist, Brian. Okay, just to prove we're out of safe here. Out of flaps. There we go. So we are out of safe, guys. As you can tell from not doing safe maneuvers. Okay, here we go. We're going to come around. Take off flaps. You'll notice the little nose down attitude. That's from the elevator correction. And there's a little bit more yet. Oh, it's so gorgeous, folks. Whoa. Whoa. That was kind of weird. Takeoff flaps deployed. See, that's the thing, is my elevator correction is not delayed like the flap deployment is. Full landing flaps, so it's an instantaneous thing. Full power. Whoa. We must be going in and out of safe. I think that's what it is. See? That just went into safe. Okay, here we go. We're going to come around. Okay, here we go. Take off flaps, landing flaps. Let's see if we can land it, actually. Not going to be able to make the turn without the rudder. Oh, but look at that alpha. So good. You need to come up to the runway, please. I'm going to go around on a circuit.
Okay.
And then I'm going to try to land it here. Oh. So let's test this real quick. Okay, so you see the red light, guys? See the red light? See the blue light? See how there's a difference? Okay. See, safe is on, safe is off. Okay. So let me try one thing. I'm gonna go into my mixing. I'm gonna go to mixing. I'm gonna go to my here, and I'm just gonna inhibit this one. And then I'm gonna go to here. And I'm gonna inhibit that one, okay? So now, whoops. That's gonna go back to rudder, okay? And then I'm gonna go rudder to rudder. And I'm gonna inhibit that one, okay? Yep. Looks like that's the only one I need to inhibit. That was my elevator correction. Okay, so now I've got my flap system. Normal speed. I'm going to change that to 2 seconds. See if we get that. Okay, here we go. Hope you guys can see. Oh, I got to point myself down the runway. Oh, you can get off the ground so fast. Landing flaps there for you. Definitely feeling safe there because limited bank angles and it's auto leveling. Yep. Out of safe, no change, still safe. So I've got a little bit more to figure out here, folks. I knew this was going to be a challenge. Okay, you need to stop sliding your feet because I'm making decisions based on where you are, please. Okay, here's our flaps, the landing flaps. Woo! Who needs a rudder when you can land like that? I had that tip stall at the end, guys, and that was just pilot error. But as you can see, this thing's not attached to anything. So I love the flaps. It's not my prettiest work before. See that? Now safe is off. I don't know what to do. Well, I want to try. I desperately want to see it fly without safe on. Look how fast you can get that thing off the ground. Full landing flaps here. Yep, I'm in safe, I think, again. Because I can only bank it so much. Well, let's try. Yep. That would be a limited bank angle, guys. I.e., I can't flip it over. I was just going to do a loop. So I have to figure out what the interaction is that's causing that. There is something. Oh, look at this beauty, though. I want to see if I can stick one landing for you guys. Oh, yeah, with the nose up. Oh, but no taxiing. It's so frustrating. Oh, guys, it's so cool. It's so cool. Should you do it? Honestly, probably not. It's a little bit disappointing because you want the rudder and you want that safe to be off when you're trying to do these slow passes. And I use my rudder for a lot of finite adjustments. I don't even think about it. But once you get up there in the air and you're doing it, second nature. The other thing is the gear had to move forward just a little bit. And so as a result, it rolls at a slightly different spot, which is okay. It doesn't give me any problems at all. So without further ado, guys, if you're going to do flaps, here's my recommendation. Just cut them and tape them and set them as a fixed flap, and you will be very happy with the performance because you'll still be able to do most of what you want to do with this plane, but you're just going to be able to shoot landings all day long, and it's going to be gorgeous. And I would not do the full flap deployment like that. It's just, I mean, even though it's awesome, it's just a little bit much. You could go somewhere, I would say somewhere between there and then the takeoff setting, and you're going to get the maximum benefits with the least amount of drag, so you'll still be able to do fast stuff. Plus then you can just do a mechanical trim adjustment on your elevator. I love this plane even without the flaps, but I'll tell you what, with the flaps, it is just a whole nother level. And I am, by the way, mark my words, there will be a day when this has rudder and functioning flaps without problems. So I'm not sure if I'm going to show you that video right now, coming right up after we clip, or if it's going to be like a different video, because honestly I'm going to have to figure it out first, and that might be a little bit of time involved. So look at that beautiful thing, guys. That's so gorgeous. Horizon, if you're listening, pretty sure you're not, please, flaps, we love them. I do, at least. It gives me something to do. Flaps. Okay? It's so gorgeous. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Come back for more. You know where to find it on Brian Phillips YouTube. Brian Phillips RC. What is this channel
Brian
called?
Phillips RC.
Brian Phillips RC.
Yeah,
That's what it
on
is.
YouTube.
On YouTube. That's right. Come back for more, guys. All right, YouTube. I figured out what we were doing wrong that was causing safe to come on and come off kind of on its own or unexpectedly. So what I ended up doing was, first things first, I went into system setup and I went to aircraft type, and I had, for whatever reason, turned it back to the mode where there was one aileron and one flap, okay? Like this. That's not what you want. You got to put it on normal, okay? Then the second thing I had to do that was unsuspectedly causing the problem was, under Servo Setup, okay, or if you go over to monitor, you can see it. Auxiliary 1 was preventing me from shutting off safe after I started flying or whatever, okay? Because right now the rudder channel is what's controlling the flaps, not auxiliary 1, not flaps. But if you tie auxiliary 1 via the flap mode to the rudder channel, this thing is gonna think it's controlling that channel, which is bizarre to me, but anyway. So don't overthink it. What you gotta do is you just gotta go into auxiliary 1. And what I ended up doing, let's show them inside. I just flew this in the dark to test this theory. You see the red light? See how it changes from red to blue? That's going from safe to not safe. Now throttle cuts off. It's flying, okay? See? Safe is on. That's the normal condition for safe for me. Now safe is off, okay? So what that means is I can do all the maneuvering. I have 100% elevator control, which means I can come in and flare the plane for landings, which is kind of what I was going for. Obviously I can't control the rudder because there is no rudder attached at the moment, but that was the big thing. So this is what I did. I went into Servo Setup and I went to reverse, and you'll notice I reversed auxiliary 1. So by default, that's going to be the other condition. So you just, whoops, go into reverse and you just click, boom. Now you'll notice it won't work. Watch. See? Look, it's dumb. It won't switch now. Should be switching from red to blue, which means safe or not safe. And when I say safe or not safe, I mean safe or AS3X only, okay? So that being said, watch. Flip it. See where it moves? Auxiliary 1 moves to the other side. See, it goes from plus 100 to, dang it. It goes from plus 100 to minus 100, okay? Upon the minus 100 pulse width modulation on that channel, you all of a sudden regain full control authority, which is what you want, okay? Now you may want safe. It did fly beautifully with safe tonight. The issue is you have to go so wide that you, in my opinion, you undermine some of the awesome characteristics of flaps. Why do we fly these ultra micros, guys? Because they are gorgeous. I mean, look at this thing. I gotta get the cover on there. I'm not looking at it right. They are gorgeous. They fly pretty good like a big plane. That's what the AS3X does for you, artificial 3-axis stabilization. But if you throw flaps on there, you're flying it near to half the speed, I would say. Would you say?
It's a lot slower.
It's a lot slower.
It's a big difference.
So now I can start really playing with my CG and pushing this thing way back. Plus I don't have the rudder servo to get in my way. So I can really push that thing back, which is gonna be sweet. Plus you can increase the payload, run a higher milliamp hour pack. I mean, of course you probably could have run a bigger pack anyway. This 800 milliamp hour pack, you could easily get 1,000 in there. Probably 1,250 milliamp hour. But I can tell you from experience, when you put flaps on these things and everything goes well, oh, they were so much more awesome. And this one took a lot of work. Obviously, I did some self-inflicted wounds by using, you know, servos in the wrong direction and not just hooking them up to a reverser before I soldered everything together. That was kind of a dumb thing to do. But I just wanted to see it work. And it does now. So, to recap, guys, I'm gonna go over this again before we close. Okay. Under system setup. Oh, now the other thing too is I wanna show you one other thing. Under mixing, this mix, I inhibited it. That's my elevator correction. Okay, so I want to tie that back to rudder. Or excuse me, elevator. Did I go by it? I already did. Okay, so there's your elevator. So now what's going to happen is, because I can't use the flap mode configuration, I have to mix in my own manual elevator correction. Okay, otherwise it's going to balloon. And it did balloon a little bit for me. It's just that it was dark, it was hard to tell. So we are going to get a good flight video, and we're probably going to tack it onto this video at the end, so you guys can see how it really looks. So, in recap, under system setup, make sure that your model aircraft type is set to normal still, okay? Then, you want to go into Servo Setup, and you need to I have these at 97% because I don't want to overdrive these little linear servos. But you're going to go over to reverse, and you're going to reverse auxiliary 1 so that by neutral, see, it's still switchable, okay? So you could still create that condition that would cause a problem here. But my sticks are always in the same position when I start flying, guys. That's just something you'll learn when you start flying. So auxiliary 1 needed to be reversed in order to work for my application. That allows safe to come on and off. Now, the other thing you could do is if you wanted to be 100% certain of that condition, you could make a special mix to force that to be at minus 100, and then you would never have to run into that situation by accidentally bumping this button, okay? You can also You can also go in here to System Setup, and you can go into Channel Assign. See how Auxiliary 1 is assigned to Auxiliary 1 there, camera crew? Mm-hmm. You can go to Inhibit, okay? But the problem is, I believe now that's going to be set to 0, not minus 100. So you see it's set to D, okay? You can clear that. Now let's watch if that screws us up. Haha. See? Not working anymore, guys.
So you can't inhibit it.
You have to have it on so that you can turn it to the minus, because watch this, guys. Go to monitor mode and you'll see what I'm talking about. See? Auxiliary 1 is inhibited, which puts it at 0. Okay? So pulse width modulation is going to go one way or the other. So plus 100 doesn't work, minus 100 does. That stops the interaction issue. So system setup, yes. Go into your channel assign. Go ahead and turn this back on. We're going to set it to Auxiliary 1. And then we're going to set that back to, we'll just set it to D because that's what it was by default. Okay? Now, if you really want to make it super, super idiot proof, then you can go in here and make a new mix. Go to normal. You want to set switch D or Auxiliary 1 is what you want to control there. So you're going to go Auxiliary 1 to Auxiliary 1, the rate. See how it's going down there? We want that side to be plus, okay? So we're just gonna force it to always, no matter what the switch condition is. I always want it way over on that one side, okay?
So then you can't.
So then you can't accidentally
turn it on.
Except, as you can see, we don't have it. We're probably gonna have to do the offset too. Although you hear it kind of making noises, so that makes me a little bit nervous. So we'll just go like this. We'll try this. So we basically want to make a mix so that it always forces the condition over there, okay? No matter what condition you're in. You hear it, guys? As soon as you get off the minus 100, it starts interacting with it, okay? I'm just trying to remember which one I can do. Because we're tied to this condition, in the up condition, Auxiliary 1 is, it would normally be at plus 100, and this would normally be minus 100. So plus 100 at a rate of minus 100. See how it's backward? So I'm gonna play with this for a second and then I'll tell them how to do it.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so what we did was we did Auxiliary 1 to Auxiliary 1, minus 100 with an offset of 100, positive 100. And then that's only in the condition where it's in the middle, okay? That would bring it from minus 100 to 0. So 0 becomes a minus, it's 100% offset, and it brings it all the way down, okay? Then we need to do one more mix. You see how it's activated when the switch is in this position. So you'll notice Auxiliary 1 stays all the way over. I don't know if we need to go more than 100 actually. That's the only thing I don't know. So I'm just gonna go like 110. I wanna make sure this thing doesn't get, you know, like sometimes they'll be at 99 instead of 100. Okay, now I'm gonna make the second one. This is gonna be almost exactly the same normal. And we're gonna go aux 1 to aux 1. And I know some of you guys are gonna be like, you lost me. Well, just copy what I do because trust me, I'm trying to figure this out as I go too. Okay, there we go. So basically I wanna make it so that you can never set Auxiliary 1 to here, okay? Because you can hear it. You can hear the servos. See, safe's working? Doesn't work. The control doesn't work, okay? All right, so, and it's erratic, like it does weird things. So, all right, so based on this switch condition, in the top setting, I can do an offset, but I don't need to do an offset this time. I just need to do the opposite correction, okay? Nope, I don't need to worry about that one. There we go. I'm probably gonna have to also do an offset to get it all the way to 0. Because that's only gonna go 125 down. So I'll go to 110, just like before. See how it's moving over even more? So that's pretending like this switch is in a different condition. That's what offset does. So I'm gonna go to 100. So. That's my flap switch, so don't worry about that, guys. I must have bumped that when I was screwing around. See how it's always stuck? It's always stuck. So we evidently have, it's going to minus 120 there. That's fine. As long as I'm at minus, I think we're good. And then this one, I don't even think we need to worry about this one. Oops, highlight that. See, that's the one that actually impacted the change. See how it's moving? Now watch this. See? I want them to be the same no matter what condition the switch is in. Okay? So there's neutral. Boom. See how it's always minus 100, 120? Okay, so we're just going to set that to minus 100. That's going to cause another problem, isn't it, camera crew?
Probably.
And some of you guys at home are thinking, what the heck, Ryan? This is so long and boring. Trust me, it is. You should see trying to figure it out yourself.
You should be the camera crew.
See, no matter what switch it's in. And yet the channel is still active, okay? The whole purpose of this exercise is to show that auxiliary 1 is active, and yet you cannot control it with the assigns. These are the things you do for flaps. Oh, you should see how long it takes me to do these things. Oh wait, you can watch it on some of my videos. I just didn't film it because it's tedious. It's hard for me to film them.
I'm
Now
sorry, I was not here.
Safe is off. Or, yep, safe is off. Now safe is on. Trying to find the fastest path to level. Safe is off. Okay? And that's especially important because remember guys, when you're in safe, there's going to be more authority being represented by AS3X to that rudder axis. So, in takeoff mode, you're at 0, not minus 100 or plus 100, okay? So watch what happens. You see it jump up and down, the flaps? See that? That's trying to correct the yaw with the AS3X. Does that make sense, camera crew? She's nodding.
Yes.
Okay?
I get that part.
So, that's all you get, guys.
Or you could save yourself. You could just do fixed flaps.
If you did fixed flaps, you would get a lot of the benefits, but you wouldn't be able to do the high-speed passes the same way. Because this thing, I'm telling you, the difference between full speed and full flaps is gotta be, I mean, it may even be more than 50% difference.
That's a lot.
And I'm talking about full glide, throttle off, nothing, and that thing going downhill, you're still gonna lose speed. That's what flaps do. They change the angle of attack. So in a real plane, the pilots can see, which is kind of a convenient thing. And then you can go downhill without gaining as much speed as you would otherwise gain. It also reduces the stall speed, meaning that the plane does not necessarily slow down, but it stalls slower, meaning it falls out of the sky. There's separation above the wing, happens at a lower speed because you're changing the actual shape of the wing. Okay? That's all you get today, guys. We're gonna have another video. We may even start this whole thing with a proper video, but it's gonna be awesome, guys. Come back for more. You can learn something maybe if you watch all the way to the end. And you get a gold star, guys. If you watch to the end, mention it in the comments, and you get a gold star. Thanks for coming back for more. All right, guys. I couldn't keep you waiting. So basically, we fixed the safe issue. And the next issue we had was that I had no steerable nose gear. Now, obviously, we're not going to need the rudder in flight on this plane. You don't need a ton of rudder. I use rudder a lot when I'm flying because I love coordinated turns, but I can give that up if I can get flaps. So here's the catch. I was just having such a heck of a time. I made a steerable nose gear. Now, the way I accomplished that was really simple, and it was kind of a no-brainer. I wish I would have thought about it in time because I would have left. I would have saved myself a little bit of trouble. But basically what I did was I spliced this into one of the aileron leads, which you can see kind of up here at the top. If you get really in there almost, there's kind of some blue tape right up at the top. I just cut each of the colors, the orange, the brown, and the red, and I soldered them together. So I just stole whichever side was working, and then I used the ailerons to actuate this control, so it's tied into the aileron channel. as you can see, when I move the ailerons, it moves the steerable nose gear. And so I just tested which direction it was gonna go. So I sat here like this, and I said, okay, so if I was leaning this way, then I would want it to turn that way. So of course I make sure that the steerable nose gear goes that direction. It's very simple. And it just happened to be laying in the correct orientation, and you can see what I did. I glued it at a bit of an angle because it seems to bind a little bit less. So now, there was one other complication that came up when I was doing my radio setup, which I'll go over that right now, if you guys want to look over my shoulder. So, you'll notice that when I did my mixing, I wanted to be able to use the rudder stick to move the steerable nose gear, even though it's actually just really controlling the aileron channel, okay? So, when I move the ailerons, it moves. When I move the rudder, it moves the same way. But when I move them together, there's only so much impact. And that's because in mixing, I went through and found something very interesting. Okay, so just so you know, the throttle cut is on. As you can see, the throttle's not working. I want to demonstrate why the manual says not to overdrive these linear long throw servos. So, first of all, it's so that they don't break themselves. But second of all, that's really not the reason why. It's because you get out of the pulse width modulation range and you start impacting another channel. So rudder to aileron. So rudder to aileron. Okay, so the ailerons are actually what's driving the steerable nose gear. So obviously this is the same as this, except I'm only mixing 40% of this output into that output. Now watch what happens when I go to 45, excuse me, we'll go right to 40, I think it's 48%. Watch this. This is crazy. Okay, we'll go a little bit more. Nothing, but watch this. Full aileron.
Oh,
Yeah, convenient,
fun.
right? Now, just so you know, my throttle cut's on. So what's happening is you get outside of the bandwidth for that pulse width modulation, and then unforeseen circumstances occur. So watch what happens if you change that 50. If you change that 50 to 48, still works. Then we'll just change it to 47. Still works. We'll change it to 46. Still works. So what I did was I just backed it off until I got to 42. Doesn't do it anymore. 43. Doesn't do it anymore. 44. Doesn't do it anymore. 45. It could. So I said, let's be safe. Let's do 40. So that's only on this side. On that side, you don't have that same situation occur. So interestingly enough, that's how I get my nose gear to work on both sticks. And I also don't cause this crazy condition where it freaks out and does whatever it feels like doing. But interestingly enough, also, if you go to monitor mode, you can see the aileron output. It's going to be at minus 94 and then minus 132. Okay. So when you get to about minus or plus 140, then strange things happen. And I don't know if that's a DSMX thing or if that's a this plane thing. I have run into that before with digital servos when you drive them past 125% or greater. Not all of them do that, but a lot of them will start behaving strange and they'll start spinning like all the way around, which is bad because you'll break them inside. So I learned a lot doing this, as will you folks that have watched this gloriously long video. Flaps. Save. Okay. On, off. Okay, that's good. Obviously we have the steerable nose gear, so now we will taxi for extra excitement. Flaps down, safe is off, throttle cuts off. Oh yeah, baby. Okay, so now that you've seen it taxiing, the next thing you're gonna be seeing. Now, for yours truly, I have to be patient and wait, but you don't have to wait because it's gonna be happening right now. YouTube, finally, the time has come to fly this thing. Couple changes last night. I cleaned up the hot glue attachment point. Yes, I know, hot glue attachment. I was surprised about that myself. I added this little thing. I added the servo so that the ailerons are tied to the rudder. Excuse me, the ailerons are tied to the steerable nose gear, but not the rudder. The rudder is still fixed. That is so I can get coordinated turns without actually seeing it. Okay, I want to pretend like this is working. Okay, then same kind of push back farther position. Onyx 800 milliamp. Haven't started flying yet, so we should get our 10, 12 minutes of safe flight time. And obviously we have safe figured out to where it always off, on. Well, of course we haven't given it throttle, so safe is on, safe is off. Okay, so we're safe there. We should see how this thing ground handles. And I want to show you one other thing. Throttle cuts on. Sorry. If we go in here to throttle curve, I set up a curve starting at 10, then 13, then 20, then 50, then 73, then 90, then 100. So I have a little bit more control at the bottom of the stick. And it's set to the on condition, so it's not like tied to a switch or anything. Other than that, everything is just as we left it in the previous videos. Now, you guys may not have seen all the setup stuff, but if you like the way this flies, just watch the rest of this video and you can see our revisions. We made some changes along the way. So hopefully this will fly so good that this will be the leading act in the video series. See, watch this, guys. See? I can taxi it. Oh, yeah, buddy.
Wow.
See how slow? See how slow I can go now? Look at that shadow. It looks awesome. So we're going to taxi out to the runway and take off with the takeoff flaps. And we're going to switch over to the landing flaps and do some passes. It is dead calm. Show them the windsock. Thank you, John. Grumpy John. Man, somebody needs to cut this airfield. There's like trees next to the runway.
Low maintenance.
All right, guys. Ready? See the birds?
Yeah.
Look how slow she'll go. That's a takeoff flaps. Okay, here's full landing flaps. You want to go up to the edge there?
Okay.
All the way to the edge of the runway. Looks like it's helium filled. Helium filled. Guys, it is so slow now. I love it. Now, you don't have to be slow, though. I'm just flying slow because I want it to fly slow. And yes, as you can tell, we are out of safe. Out of safe. Full landing flap deployment here. Out of the flaps altogether. Going back into the high speed mode here. Look at the difference in speed. Oh, I didn't even pay attention if we coordinated our turns or not. That looks a lot more coordinated than it did yesterday. Takeoff flaps only here. Let's try doing a nice, somewhat coordinated turn. Guys, it sort of worked. I could make that thing a little bit bigger, actually, which is what we'll do. Super easy. I just took a piece of clear plastic that had a bend in it, so it gave it some structural rigidity. Thank you. A lot more control of the throttle with that curve, guys. I don't feel like I'm fighting it. Out of the throttle cut. Just to show you, you can still do all the bells and whistles you could before. High-speed pass coming. Oh, it looks and sounds great. Try your best to keep your feet planted there, camera crew, so I know where you are.
Yeah.
That was my antenna I poked you with, just so we're clear. Man, that looks so good, doesn't it? That's the Vampire Death Zone. touch and go over the top of the power lines and around. Full landing flaps will slow this thing down. Here's full landing flaps, folks. Oh no! We're gonna get out of the trees here, or whatever that stuff is. Oh geez,
Goodness gracious.
that's ridiculous. Like the root
Of all
the
things.
root of a tree. Okay, so one thing I want to adjust real quick is I just want to go ahead and go so you can see how that thing works, guys. Since I'm giving aileron command, it's basically like a oh man, look at that big rock.
Ugh.
Those don't seem like anything until you hit them with a UMX. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and change one mixing. I'm going to go to, I think it's B to elevator. I'm going to go to -3. Okay, so that's going to change the amount of elevator adjustment. I felt extra draggy. We're spinning free. Yeah, I think we're okay. That was weird. Maybe there was a stone in front of it.
Could have been. Let's keep going.
Man, it is so gorgeous tonight. I don't know if you guys can tell how slow I'm flying. Whoa! And still forgiving, folks. Into the landing flaps there. Full speed. I'm loving the speed range. Very good range of speed. Landing flaps. Maybe we can land it in the 37 foot now. You think? Probably a little
Maybe.
bit tight.
Take off for sure.
You guys see that windsock? See how it's just hanging low? Full landing flaps here. We're going to try for a nice landing here. Oh, I could not resist a touch and go.
I'm shocked.
Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Takeoff, landing flaps gone. Full landing flaps here. We're going to try for just a perfect landing here. Oh, look at that, guys. I've got it so it's almost like a pendulum there, if that's the right word for what I'm trying to say. All right, sorry guys, we had a little mishap, so we are back. Everything is ready to go. We were getting ready to do the safe flight, so that's what we're gonna do with this beautiful sunset. It's been raining all day, actually for the last 2 days, on and off. And so we're gonna see what it does. The barometric pressure always seems to be a lot different when you're flying in this high humidity right after rain, and it's almost perfect flying conditions if you have an opportunity to do it. So without further ado, as you can see, we have this beautiful wet ground. We are in safe. Control surface tests are being done. I already gave it throttle to initiate safe, just to make sure everything was on. And we are in the takeoff setting for flaps. So gorgeous. About 50% throttle here. We'll do a little bit more throttle there. Man, that's gonna disappear, isn't it?
Yep.
Dead calm. Gorgeous. Full landing flaps here. Okay, in safe still. As you can see, we have limited bank angles. This is what happens when you let go of the sticks. Just a little teeny bit of down elevator. Okay, out of the flaps altogether, just into regular flight mode. Safe still. We'll try to take a landing with safe. Takeoff flaps deployed, full landing flaps deployed. We'll slow it down on the way in. In safe this time. Don't want to go off the driveway. It'll be a muddy mess. Flying on the Onyx 3S, 800 milliamp hour, in safe for the full flight this time. Getting heavy into the ailerons. Stay right where you are. Okay, thank you, camera crew. Okay, trying to stay away from the vampire eater zone. Gosh, that thing was so dang good.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of bounce. Want to avoid the wet puddle there, just so I can stay out of the electronics, out of the flaps. Seeing if we can find it again. Still in safe here. We're going to do a high-speed pass here. Full in on safe. Notice the pitch up attitude as I get into the throttle. When I let off the throttle, the elevator mix goes away. So you see that? You see that, how it's going up and down? That's me toggling the throttle, part of safe. Not crazy about that feature, but it's for beginners. Okay, so we're going to come out of safe in level flight. Out of safe. Full landing flaps. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous! Just to demonstrate we're out of safe. We'll do a little stall here. Oh, that is gorgeous. Almost unlimited vertical. Of course, lots of extra drag induced from the full landing flaps, as you can see as it goes by. Trying to give you guys plenty of chances to see it. The coordination of the turns is all right. It's not perfect. About 10% throttle here. Oh, look how smooth that ground is. We did a good job. Guys, if you didn't notice, pause the flight performance and look at the grass, guys.
Ooh.
The grass is coming in. Wow, that's amazing. You'll notice I hit down there. If that would have been a month ago, that would have been like
Not
lost,
good.
I think.
Yeah.
So we have gone to great lengths. And then the other night, it was about to rain, and I was like, I'm going to go cut the grass. I cut it to 2 inches. So all you grass lovers out there, you know that is a sacrifice from us to you. We're going to keep flying here. Takeoff flaps are deployed. We are out of safe. Oh, so gorgeous. Man, the coordination seems to be just about perfect. Wouldn't you say? Look at the nose. The nose tips over right where you want it, right in the line here, guys. Staying right on top of the throttle. Guys, keeping it close for you at home. Nice coordinated turns automatically coming in because of that clear little piece of plastic on the nose gear. This is when people are like, shut up, Brian, I want to hear the annoying EDF.
No, you don't. Oh, you do?
Well, at this throttle level, it's okay.
Well, it's
Trying to
better.
give you guys lots of different angles. Sorry to cut you off there, camera crew. Because I understand that you want to see it. Oh man, that is gorgeous. By the way, I am about 30% down elevator right now just to hold this level flight. Giving it a little bit of rudder control, even though that's actually just a mix into the ailerons. Having the aileron stick and the rudder stick both active for the yaw and roll control is not really a big deal because your brain kind of feels like it's doing the right thing. I can get my finite controls with that 40% mix, as we discussed in previous parts of the video. Okay, going straight up. If you haven't seen that part, keep watching. We'll discuss all the different setup things I did, some of which I've changed. Oh, so gorgeous, guys. Full speed pass, obviously out of flaps. If you do fix flaps, you are not going to be able to do the high-speed passes to this degree. That's full speed on 3S, nice and quiet sounding. Of course, you can't hear over my blather. High-speed pass here. And a loop. Big loop, full landing flaps. Look how tight you can make it when you do that. Get into the power here. That's my 5-minute warning. You're hearing about the chime. Watch this, guys. I don't know if you're aware, but you can tighten your loops if you put on flaps. Okay, now I am not pulling full stick because you'll high-speed stall this thing. And I don't want to break it in half. Okay, out of the flaps. Now the reason I show that is not because I like flying commercial airliners in this fashion. I just show you for the simple fact going behind me this time. Gosh, that is so gorgeous. Let's shoot some landings here. Back one step to your right, actually. Thank you, perfect. Going over the tree line, over the vampire kill zone here. 5% throttle, 10% throttle. Flare. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, that is gorgeous. Let's do some taxi through the water. Takeoff flaps deployed. Come on up. We're just going to taxi through the water because I expect it will be beautiful to see. Because it's going to make all the water move. Oh, get up there so you can see it close. Oh, that is so gorgeous. Did you give them a low shot there? Ground handling is still every bit as awesome as it was. Full landing flaps going for a takeoff right here. Oh, so gorgeous. You want to stay there? I'll try to shoot a landing right in front of you.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Stay where you are. Oh, yes! Let's get it out of the bog here. I mean, it just rained, guys. It rained all day, and it rained hard.
Yeah.
That's why you don't do that typically. So I'm just going to go ahead and taxi some more. I'm going to go ahead and fly so I can get it cleaned off here. We'll just tuck it around. Look how nice you can turn around. We're about 11 feet wide on the runway here. Full throttle. We're going to be losing power here pretty quick, just so you know. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stay where you are. You can stay there.
Okay.
Oh, I knew I was feeling an adverse yaw there. Because, look what happened, guys. Oh, we got a little bit of moisture into there. If you get moisture into these ultra micro, I mean, it's just a little dirty, guys. No big deal. No big deal. No reason to freak out, guys. Takeoff flaps there. I'm just going to go through this water puddle again. Oh, yeah. That 3S pack is awesome, guys. Here we go. Here we go. Watch. Guys, I am loving the way this plane flies. It flies good stock, but it flies even more awesome when you throw in these flaps. Let's see if we can shoot a landing here. Oh, dang it. Right into the dirt again. I keep trying to clean it off, and then I keep doing this to it. Yeah, there's a little bit of stuff on the bottom now. It doesn't look so good that way.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm 4 minutes past my timer. I'm going to get into the warning zone here. That's exactly what I wanted to happen, believe it or not. Out of the flaps, going for high speed. Okay, now the reason I want high speed is for this. So I can swing the crap off of it. Okay, I'm going to try to do some craziness here. That's about all you get there, guys. Man, I love flying this plane. It is such a joy. If you don't have it, you don't need flaps, but I'll tell you what, man, flaps make it so much fun. And it's fun before, too. And just look how stinking beautiful that thing is. Guys, we have some new footage coming for you. You're never going to believe what we got coming next. It's going to be good. I hope you guys will come and check it out. Let's get a landing here because I just can't not do it. Mostly because I have to get it on the ground because it is an airplane after all. Guys, I feel like this plane is so worthy of the price point. I mean, I've had some UMX planes, and some of them are just a huge bust, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. Back in the day when I used to get, granted, I was a bad pilot. I didn't know what I was doing. When I got that Habu 180 UMX, when I was first flying, it had safe, and it was just a plane that should have never had safe because it was hard to fly. You had to fly it fast. And that was my first experience with UMX EDFs. Guys, these things blow hard. My camera crew, thanks you for watching. That is gross, guys.
That is gross.
Come back for more. This is not the glamour shot.